Did you know that mechanics across the country are quietly warning their most trusted customers to stop buying new cars in 2026? And it has nothing to do with reliability or recalls? It's about software buried so deep inside these vehicles that most buyers don't even know it exists. Software that hands manufacturers control over a car you paid for, a car you're still making payments on. And once it's in there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. Picture this. You walk into a dealership. The salesperson is friendly. The cars are gleaming. The financing offer looks reasonable. And somewhere between the test drive and the finance office, you get played. Not because the salesperson lied to you, not because the car is a lemon, but because the entire system you just walked into was designed from the ground up to make sure you never truly own what you're paying for. Here's what nobody on that showroom floor is going to tell you. Loan terms are being stretched to 7 and 8 years on purpose. Leases are being pushed harder than ever before. And while you're laser focused on that monthly payment number, manufacturers are quietly rewriting the legal definition of what vehicle ownership actually means. And by 2026, that rewrite is complete. The question isn't whether this is happening. The question is whether you're going to be caught off guard when it hits, or whether you're going to be the person in the room who actually saw it coming. Stay with me, because it gets a lot deeper than a car payment. Connected vehicle architecture. Let me introduce you to 3 words that should make every car buyer in America stop dead in their tracks. Connected vehicle architecture. Sounds impressive, right? Sounds like progress. Sounds like something you'd want in your new car. It's a Trojan horse. Here's what that phrase actually means in plain English. Starting with 2026 model year vehicles, every major manufacturer now has the ability to push software updates directly to your car, remotely, without asking you, without your approval. At any time they choose, they can monitor how you drive. They can collect data on every single trip. They can restrict features. They can disable features. And in some cases, they can stop your car from functioning altogether. Don't believe me? Let's talk patents. Toyota, Ford, GM, and Stellantis have all filed patents, in the last 18 months alone, for systems that can remotely cap your vehicle's top speed, restrict the geographic area you're allowed to drive in, and prevent your engine from starting based on criteria they determine. Not criteria you agree to, criteria they determine. They'll call it theft prevention. They'll call it safety innovation. But think about what that technology actually is when you strip away the marketing language. It's a remote control for your car that someone else holds, and you're making payments on it every single month. The heated seats scandal. I need you to stop for a second and really absorb what I'm about to tell you, because this already happened. This isn't a warning about the future. This is history. BMW, one of the most prestigious car brands on the planet, rolled out a subscription model for heated seats. Not a new feature, not an upgrade you didn't pay for. Heated seats that were physically built into the car, wired in, installed, part of the vehicle you financed and drove off the lot. Locked, behind a monthly fee. The hardware existed in your car. You paid for it. But the software decided you couldn't use it unless you kept paying every single month, indefinitely. The backlash was immediate and brutal. BMW pulled back. And here's what the entire auto industry took from that moment. It wasn't that the idea was wrong. It was that they moved too fast. So they slowed down. They repackaged it. They softened the language. And right now, every major manufacturer is watching consumer reaction like a hawk, waiting to see exactly how much they can take before buyers push back again. Performance modes, advanced cruise control, climate control settings, enhanced navigation. All of it is on the subscription table. And 2026 is the year this stops being a BMW experiment and becomes the industry standard. The question is, will you notice before it's too late? The government kill switch. Here's the part of this story that most people completely missed, because it was buried inside a massive piece of legislation that nobody actually read. The infrastructure bill, passed 2 years ago, buried inside it, a provision requiring kill switches in all new vehicles by 2026. The official justification? Impaired driving prevention. And sure, stopping drunk drivers sounds like a worthy goal. Nobody's arguing against that. But here's the problem that nobody in Washington seemed to want to talk about. The technology doesn't know why it's being activated. It can't tell the difference between a drunk driver and a manufacturer enforcing a missed subscription payment. It can't distinguish between a government safety mandate and a corporation protecting its revenue stream. The same system, the same switch, infinite possible uses. And once that infrastructure is embedded in every single new vehicle on American roads, the use cases will expand. They always do. That's not cynicism. That's just how technology adoption works throughout all of history. You build the system for one reason, then you find 100 more. The kill switch is coming. It's already written into law, and the 2026 model year is when it becomes standard equipment, whether you want it or not. The death of your mechanic. Think about the mechanic you trust, the one who's been straight with you for years, the one who tells you what actually needs fixing and what can wait, the one who doesn't charge you dealership rates. That person is being systematically eliminated from the equation. And it's not happening because independent mechanics are bad at their jobs. It's happening because manufacturers are restricting access to the diagnostic tools required to service modern vehicles. You can't just plug in a generic scanner anymore. You need manufacturer-specific software, proprietary tools, authorized access. And manufacturers are making sure that access is expensive, restricted, and increasingly unavailable to anyone outside their certified dealer network. Right-to-repair legislation has been introduced in state after state, and automotive lobbying groups, with virtually unlimited resources, have successfully killed or gutted nearly every single bill. By 2026, your trusted independent mechanic may not be able to touch your new car at all, which means every oil change, every brake job, every sensor replacement goes back to the dealership, where labor rates are 3 times higher, where you sit in a waiting room for 4 hours, where every visit comes with a list of recommended services that conveniently adds another $800 to your bill. This isn't a side effect of modern vehicle technology. It's a deliberate business strategy. Control who fixes the car, and you control the cost of ownership for the entire life of the vehicle. Software obsolescence, the new way to kill a car. Here's a concept that's going to completely change how you think about buying a car. Planned obsolescence used to be physical. Parts wore out, metal fatigued, engines hit their mileage ceiling. You could see why a car was done. That era is over. Now imagine this. Your 2026 vehicle, 10 years from now, runs perfectly. Engine's strong, no rust. Transmission shifts smooth. Mechanically, it's got another decade in it easy. But the manufacturer stopped supporting the software 2 years ago. Your navigation screen goes dark, your backup camera stops working, your lane assist, your blind spot monitoring, your automatic emergency braking, all of it starts failing. Not because anything broke, because a server somewhere stopped sending the right signals. And the fix? It's not a wrench. It's not a part. It's either an expensive software package or a conversation with a salesperson about your trade-in value. Tesla proved this model works. They remotely reduced battery capacity through software updates on cars people already own. Consumers were frustrated, but they accepted it because it was framed as a software issue, not a hardware failure. The language changed everything. Now every manufacturer is running the same play, and a 2026 vehicle that's a decade old won't just be mechanically aged, it'll be digitally dead. That changes the entire math of long-term vehicle ownership. If you're finding this information helpful, please hit like button and subscribe. Your car is spying on you and selling the data. Let's be completely honest about something the brochure will never mention. Your 2026 vehicle is not a car with some tech features. It is a rolling data collection device that also provides transportation. Every trip, every location, every hard brake and sharp turn, every time you start the engine, every time you sit in a parking lot with the car running. All of it, logged, transmitted, and sold. That data flows from your vehicle to the manufacturer, from the manufacturer to insurance companies, from insurance companies to third-party data brokers, and from there to anyone willing to pay for it. Insurance companies are packaging this as a discount program. Drive safely, save money, and look, on the surface, that sounds reasonable. But what they're actually building is a behavioral profile on you that is comprehensive, permanent, and completely outside your control. That profile can be used to deny claims, to justify rate increases, to flag you for additional scrutiny. And the privacy laws that should be protecting you from this? They don't exist yet, not for automotive data. The gap is enormous, and companies are sprinting through it. You're not just buying a car, you're consenting to permanent surveillance. And the terms of that surveillance can be updated, just like the software, at any time. The EV trap, freedom that isn't free. Electric vehicles were sold to us as liberation. No more gas stations, no more oil changes, no more dependence on volatile fuel prices. Just plug in and go. Here's what actually happened. EV manufacturers didn't eliminate dependency. They replaced it with something far more sophisticated and far more difficult to escape. Your EV is connected to a charging network controlled by the manufacturer. Your battery management system is controlled by software the manufacturer can update remotely. Your range, your charging speed, your battery capacity. All of it sits inside a software layer that someone else manages. Tesla has already demonstrated this. They pushed software updates that reduced battery capacity on vehicles people already own. Not because the battery was failing, as a business decision. And owners had virtually no recourse. Your electric vehicle also reports your charging patterns, your driving routes, your energy consumption, all of it streaming back to the manufacturer continuously. Combined with the charging infrastructure dependency, you've traded one form of control for another. The promise was freedom. The product is a different cage. And as more states push toward EV mandates and ICE vehicle restrictions, the ability to opt out of this system is shrinking fast. The end goal: cars you don't own anymore. Now let's zoom out. Because everything we've talked about so far, the software control, the subscription features, the data collection, the kill switches, it all points toward one destination, a world where you don't own a vehicle at all. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's the stated business model of multiple major manufacturers and every major tech company currently investing in autonomous vehicles. The vision is simple. You open an app, an autonomous vehicle arrives. It takes you where you need to go. You pay for the trip. The vehicle drives away to pick up the next passenger. No ownership, no insurance, no maintenance, no equity, no independence. And here's the part that should genuinely concern you. The infrastructure to make this happen is being built right now. Legislation is being written right now. Restricted access zones in major cities that only autonomous vehicles can enter. Policies that make single-occupancy vehicle ownership progressively more expensive and more restricted. It's already live in European cities. It's already being piloted across California. And the generation growing up right now, raised on Spotify, Netflix, and DoorDash, won't see anything wrong with subscribing to transportation. That's not an accident. That's the plan. The wealth destruction nobody is calculating. Let's talk about what's really being stolen here, because it's bigger than a monthly payment. For generations, vehicle ownership was a legitimate financial strategy. You bought a car, you maintained it, you drove it for 15 or 20 years, you sold it, passed it down, or ran it into the ground on your own terms. The money you spent built something: equity, reliability, independence. That model is being engineered out of existence. Software obsolescence creates forced upgrade cycles every 8 to 10 years, not because the car is worn out, but because it's been digitally abandoned. Manufacturer-controlled repairs eliminate affordable maintenance. Subscription features add costs that never end. Data monetization means you're the product, not just the customer. And the used car market is about to reflect all of this. A 10-year-old 2026 vehicle won't just be mechanically aged. It'll be software dead, unsupported, and worth a fraction of what comparable older vehicles are worth today. Meanwhile, and pay attention to this, certain pre-2020 vehicles are already appreciating in value. Buyers are waking up to what's being lost. A clean 2015 or 2016 truck in excellent condition isn't just a budget option anymore. It's a vehicle you actually own. One you can fix anywhere, with anyone, using parts from any supplier. That independence has real monetary value, and the market is starting to price it in. Your survival guide: what to do right now. You've seen the reality. Now here's what to do, because you still have options. First, think twice about buying a 2026 model. A well-maintained 2022 to early 2024 vehicle gives you more real ownership before restrictive systems become standard. Second, build a relationship with an independent mechanic now, while they can still work on your car. These connections are becoming rare and valuable. Third, research what data your manufacturer collects. It's all in the privacy policies, and it will change how you choose. Fourth, support right to repair laws. This isn't niche, it affects every driver. Contact your state representatives. Fifth, reconsider older vehicles. Pre-2020 trucks and SUVs aren't just transportation. They offer real control and flexibility. The window for true ownership is closing. That's not hype. It's where the industry is heading. But it's not closed yet. The people who act now will be in a completely different position than those who wait. The auto industry just changed the rules, quietly, legally, and permanently. But now you know the game. Buy smart, stay independent, own your vehicle before it owns you. Drop a comment below and tell me, are you still buying new in 2026, or are you holding on to your old ride? And if you enjoyed the content, smash that like button and subscribe for more auto content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.